do not believe in luck. And if anyone can shift that mindset to what's in front of me, what are the opportunities? What just showed up? Whoa, all these biotech people for me started showing up. What is showing up and what's the opportunity in it? And it is having the courage to just go.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7- and 8-figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets Podcast. I'm Pedro, and today I'm with Alison Godfrey with me, who is the founder of AAG Concierge Executive Coaching, where she works with founders, CEOs, and senior leaders on high-stakes decisions, leadership challenges, and navigating organizational complexity with clarity and directness. Her focus is helping leaders think more clearly, communicate more effectively, and operate with precision in environments where the pressure and consequences are high. She brings experience across executive coaching and advisory work through organizations like Berkeley Executive Coaching Institute and Better Organizations by Design, supporting leaders across the U.S. on decision-making, executive presence, stakeholder communication, and team dynamics. Her work is centered on close one-on-one partnerships with leaders who value disciplined thinking and honest challenge rather than surface-level advice. Welcome to the show, Alison.
Oh, thank you, Pedro. I'm so happy to be here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's great to have you, and I always like to backtrack a little bit, rewind, and go back to the origin story, because every coach has that moment. Well, they look at their life and say, yeah, I guess this is what I'm doing now, right? So when was that for you, Alison?
Oh, that moment occurred in education. I decided to, late education, not early. I was a CEO and I took an eye-opening course at Berkeley, and it was called High Impact Leadership. That was taught by the Coaching Institute faculty. And I became a certified executive coach to be a better leader. And it changed my life. It set my whole life in a different trajectory. So I used it in leadership as being a CEO. And then after that wasn't really after that, then COVID. And all of a sudden I had a new career.
To be a better leader, right? That is so abstract. Sometimes I get into a rabbit hole just trying to wrap my head around that. What does that even mean,
Well, this is a little embarrassing, a little vulnerable, but up until that point, my authenticity was actually defined by telling the truth. But being a Jersey girl, what that looked like was I was in your face and I was going to tell you like I saw it. Yeah, it was a little rough, and that's why it's embarrassing. I apologize to everybody that worked with me back then. So after this learning, what happened was I realized I was confusing authenticity with style. I just wanted to tell the truth, and I didn't have to be in your face to do that. I could behave very kindly and gently and more softly, ask questions, and share our truths and see where the connection points were. It truly changed me as a human. And that's my kids, by the way.
Okay. I get where you're coming from. Now, I want to understand one thing, right? It's kind of is like an identity shift, something like that. Like from helping people in coaching, because in the early days of coaching, sometimes we see a lot of coaches out there, they're like just trying to help people, advice
Mm,
giving or whatever, to building a real business around this, because that's a different hat, right? We're talking about business development, we're talking about CEO and all of that and what that entails. So did you had like an aha moment for yourself like that? Like, for example, is it the first invoice? Is it the first paying client? How did that play out for you?
I think it was the first paying client. And all of a sudden, that moment became a new identity. Whoa, what is happening here? I I am getting paid to do this, and complete imposter syndrome. Am I good at this? Am I good enough to be paid? Can I really make a difference in people's lives? And that was such an aha that I have to take this seriously for outcome.
Okay, interesting. The first paying client. Now, after you got rolling, Allison, who are the people that kept showing up? Because like I said, in the early days, and we see coaches out there, they're trying to, pin down exactly who they serve. And I'm not sure
Right.
if you niche down or even went through that route, but I want to understand the ones you realize, okay, this is my tribe and this is the people I can work best with.
Yeah. Um, the absolute middle of that bullseye is startup biotech. And I resonate. I get it. I've been there. It's I can absolutely resonate. They can resonate with me. The right on the next, not the outer ring of the bullseye, but still in the bullseye, are it can be any industry, but it's C-suite, because I understand the aloneness of not having anyone to speak with. And it's difficult, and it's way too vulnerable to speak to somebody inside the organization about what you're feeling insecure about and decision making. And you don't go home with that stuff to your spouse, because you need a personal relationship with your spouse, and it's usually not about business.
So you're telling me they're fed up, right? They don't want to talk business. Like they just want to have like a normal relationship at home. That makes perfect sense. I'm
You
going to
think,
take that
yeah.
advice, and use it for myself. So thank you about, I'm going to save my wife some countless hours. Okay. So there's that. Now let's do a quick exercise if you don't mind.
No,
Okay.
I love it. I'm
let's
in.
pretend I'm your ICP, your ideal client profile, right? I'm the startup biotech you mentioned, or even C-suite level. Okay. So
Yes.
first of all, marketing wise, how would I be able to find you in the first place?
Um, I am in a niche where they are telling each other who I am, and that they're using me as a coach. And if you wanted to find me, it would be on LinkedIn. I don't do ads. I do Podcasting is very important to me. And that's really my number one way to go out into the world. And here I am. This is what we do. And it's so natural for me. I love the conversations. So you get a flavor of who I am as a
Mhm.
person.
Okay, I'm feeling the pressure. Okay, you mentioned you do
Oh,
some
yeah, you're
podcasts
on.
out there. Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
do it.
Nice. Okay. Now, let's pretend I was referred to you and your
Mm.
services, or eventually I went through your LinkedIn, that
Mhm.
resonated with me. I'm like, hey, Alan's, or even, listen to one of your podcasts that you eventually went through. So let's say I had, there is like alignment. I see what you're posting out there or whatever, and we ended up on the sales process. And let's say there is also alignment there, right?
Yes.
So I understand you may have different offers, right? So what I would love for you to do is to walk me through how does it look like to work with you right now and the potential outcomes I could expect from out of it.
Yes. Oh, thank you. It's my favorite. Okay. The concierge part of my company name is that I am here for you. We are in relationship. And what I'm committing to is a year of working with you. And in that year, you will have unlimited connection with me. You can have as many sessions or phone calls or text messages, however you would like to reach out, unlimited. The caveat on that is at the end of 12 months, if we haven't had at least 24 coaching sessions, we keep going until you've had 24. The idea of that is that I want to be with you in relationship as changes occur through our work. So there are goals that you will come in and talk to me about: personal changes, growth, corporate relationships in the C-suite, relationships with the board. And we set patterns of working through that until you go, okay, that's good, next. And we try to set up a coaching arc, and it keeps changing, but very much focused on where do you want to be? Let's hit those goals. Let's keep this real. It comes from you. However, I will always offer suggestions of what we could talk about in our next coaching session. It can be helpful. And then you walk in and you go, oh no, I have a fire. All right, change gears.
Okay, interesting. Now, you got me curious on one thing: the engagement, right? You mentioned 1 year. Why 1 year? Can you walk me through that decision? I just understand, wrap my head around that.
Because at the end of 1 year, the goal is that you are in such a different space. We need to recontract with each other. Who are you now? What are your new goals? And what do you want coaching to look like at this phase? And more times than not, we'll recontract and we will do another year. What happens is after about 2 or 3 years, then people typically will take a break, wait for the next big change, and we start again.
Okay. Now, what would you say to like an aspiring coach or an early day coach, is just starting and is thinking like, hey, Allison, this all looks good, but it sounds like it's such a long-term contract. And I'm not sure if I can land those clients. You know that sometimes it's imposter syndrome, but what would you suggest them to see it from a different lens for them to do that type of, engagement you're doing currently?
Yes, I suggest do enough sessions with the individual so that you can really get somewhere. And that sweet spot is usually around 8. And there are still many coaches that don't want long-term relationships. It takes you're bringing a lot of responsibility for the outcome for that partnership. You are part of that outcome. And that doing it for a year can be too much for some people, but doing like a project for 8 weeks is wonderful. And that is absolutely how I started. This is not day one. I'm years into this.
Okay. I mean, here comes the first curveball, if you don't mind.
Oh, I can't wait.
Okay. So here's the thing, right? I see a lot of coaches out there, they are advocating against burnout, and sometimes they're burning out themselves, right? They're wearing all the hats. Let's say the CEO hat, business development, and all that, sales, marketing, operations, the coaching itself, right? The practice. So, and your practice sounds like to me that it's very customized, right?
Yeah.
You sit down with the clients, all that. You're creating the blueprint so you guys can follow it and achieve the results. So, how do you think about capacity so you don't stretch yourself too thin? Allison?
Yes. Great pertinent question for right now, because what's happening is with another coach and PR specialist, Gwen Osterban, we are now going into corporations together, bringing even more services. And you get to these corporations, and they're like, oh yeah, work with us at least for a year, maybe longer. We want to do PR. We want help in marketing. We're a startup. We need to completely reorg. We need to, and it's just, whoa, okay. Yeah.
Easy, Tiger.
Whoa, yeah, down, whoa. So we just had the conversation that I'm going to have to free my schedule because I really, really do want to do that. So where I am not doing that, and I have individual clients, which I still have, I'm going to have to start reducing that side of my business so that I can do what I want to do and I have time for it.
Okay. Now I want to jump on that boat because you're somewhat telling me about future, right? Now, I'm curious where you're taking all this, looking ahead, where do you see the business go? Are you thinking about scaling, hiring, or is there a next step you're excited about, Alison?
Right now, part of the way I'm freeing myself is that I just paid for back-end connectivity with AI. And so that I provide session summaries, which is not typical for coaches. Coaches are trained to give the responsibility to their clients. I do it because I have trained AI to look for the threads, what's happening, and I can get over 3 months, what's changed? What have we coached on to really track where we are in our coaching? I need all of that automated. And that's what this individual is doing. Plus they are, or their team, Stonebridge is doing it for me. And Patrice is wonderful. And she's connecting my calendar and then automated emails. I check all the summaries. I don't trust AI. So I still absolutely comb through it and make sure it's the way I want. And then it will automatically be sent out. So those tasks and billing are becoming automated, freeing up some of my time. The next step in growth is that I want to make a difference. And I can do that one person at a time. And then hopefully that person goes back to the organization and makes changes around them. Or I can do it more systemically. So Gwen and I can go in and push change with them in partnership through the organization. So I'm not advising and walking away. I care. I'm going to make these differences with you. And that can change the fabric of how people show up in their corporation. I love it.
Okay. Interesting, especially with the not taking AI for face value.
Yeah.
It's just not trusting 100%. It's like, yeah, use it, but with care, and considering there are so many variables that we need to consider to make it really, really good. Okay, that makes sense. Now, whenever we're aiming, towards the next chapter, always something we're refining in the present, right, Alison? So, and I know you mentioned AI and all that, but what are you currently trying to improve or tighten up in your business, like right now?
Right now, it is very important to me to make sure that I'm asking the questions that are going to make a difference. And what more can I do for self-awareness for the individual? And for the first time in my life, I've brought in actual profiles that I ask people to take. Edge walkers, and there's an edge walker profile, and there's an archetype of change profile. And then I put them together. They get information about how they answered these questions. It does not tell you this is who you are. What it does is say, these are the lenses of seeing the world that you prefer. And therefore, if I'm working, for instance, with the C-suite, I have an offsite next week where we're doing this with Gwen. And it is now, what strengths do you have in the C-suite? How each of you see the world? What is redundant so that you're yesing each other? And do you have enough challengers on the team?
Uh-huh. I get where you're coming from. Okay. Now, I'm curious, right? Like, what drove you to that decision to finally introduce the profile? Like, you told me like you just did that. Like, it
Yes,
sounds like there was something out there that made you, push the button.
you're right. Um, a very dear friend and coach, Amy, Amy Lynn Durham,
Mhm.
kept saying to me, "You don't understand what you're missing by not joining Edgewalkers." She tortured me. She humiliated me. And I finally said, "All right, leave me alone. I'll do it." So last
That's so
fall, we went, or this spring, oh my gosh, months. But anyway, I went to a retreat. Judy allowed me, Judy, she's wonderful. So Judy founded Edgewalkers, and Judy Neal it's just a magnetic, wonderful spiritual woman, fully grounded in business. Oh, how do you do that? That's interesting. And I was spent 5 days on the retreat with Judy and talking about Edgewalkers. So, of course, I drank the Kool-Aid. I came out and said, "Yeah, I'm doing that."
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Now, I want to shift gears for a second because I
Sure.
feel that we could use our experience, because people listening can really benefit from this. I mean, you've been in the game long enough to hear all kinds of business advice, right? Some are good, some are terrible, right? So, what would you say is like one piece of business advice you hear all the time, constantly, that you think is, that's overrated?
Okay. Ooh, there's a challenge. Be brilliant. Okay. Um, my my nugget would be that I do not believe in luck. And if anyone can shift that mindset to what's in front of me, what are the opportunities? What just showed up? Whoa, all these biotech people for me started showing up. What is showing up and what's the opportunity in it? And it is having the courage to just go and start it without knowing what you're doing. Jump off the cliff, do it. You're not going to do anything other than make mistakes, learn from them, and keep going. Have successes, which you probably won't pay attention to. You'll only pay attention to your mistakes. Great. Learn from them. Keep iterating. There is no end point.
Hmm. Okay. This is getting personal. Like, I'm getting to a rabbit hole here and thinking, hey, Pedro, you take more action, right? Stop overthinking it, right? Something like that. Hmm.
Yeah. Bingo.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you. That's exactly it. Just go.
Hmm. Okay. Now, on the other side, what's a piece of advice you wish, like, more people actually took seriously?
That we need to embrace people that don't agree with us. And that is very hard. Um, Put me in a room of individuals that love to brainstorm. Ooh, I'm on it. And I've got the energy and I'll stay there forever. Put me in a room of people that are going to talk about guardianship of the business and
Mhm.
all the things that in the future that could go wrong. It's extremely painful for me. Absolutely necessary for the business. So I'll do things like say, do I actually have to participate in this? Are there action items for me? Because it just wipes out my energy. But it's really important. I don't want to discourage people. And we prefer being around people that have our point of view of the world.
Mm. Well, it's called comfort zone for a reason, right?
Right. Thank
It's
you. That's
comfortable.
right.
Yeah.
Go into that stretch zone. Be uncomfortable. That's where growth
Yes,
is.
it is. Now, if you're down for it, I'd love to play a quick game with you. Would that be okay?
Okay. Of course. You know,
Okay.
I'm going to jump off the ledge.
It's like we'll look at this through the lens of business investments, right? Things like coaching, training, marketing, team, masterminds, you name it. It's pretty simple. I'll give you 4 prompts and you
Okay.
tell me the first thing that comes to mind. Don't overthink it, okay? Just take
I
action.
love
I
it.
told you.
Okay.
If there's a story behind it, even better,
Okay.
okay?
Ready.
So, first one, what's the first business investment you remember making, Alison?
The first business investment that I made was not financial. It was as a kid in myself. I had totally screwed up. One of those moments at age 13, 14, whatever. And my mother said to me, "Who do you want to be?" She didn't even punish me. It's amazing. However, that had now become the theme for my life. And what happened was I went back to school and, in complete humility, went to these individuals that I respected. They were smart, they were doing things, they were engaged, they were kind, and I asked them if they'd be my friend. And looking back on that, it's just, whoa, who's that kid? However, it changed me completely, and I became student council president. And I was spending summers at Rutgers University. I was in Jersey, of course. And it was my investment in me to become the person I wanted to be.
Wow. Kudos to mom.
Yeah, right? I know. She
Mm,
died before I realized what had happened. And I didn't, but
yeah.
maybe she's listening. Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty powerful. Now,
Mm,
moving forward, what's the most recent one you made? I think you kind of answered that already, right? With the AI?
yeah. Yes. And
Mm.
that was financial and a commitment to me doing what I love to do and not the tasks that I'll avoid. I'll procrastinate.
Oh, you and everyone, right?
Right.
In this space, but okay, okay. Not judging. Okay. Now, what is the best financial business investment you have made and why?
Um, the best financial business investment was in condensed matter nuclear science. And that is an area that um, is free energy. If it works, it is literally free energy. You start it and it just keeps running, and there are no byproducts that are dangerous. We never solved it, but the research is still going on. And to be part of that community that could change the world so substantively was an honor.
Wow, interesting. Okay. Now, what's one investment you wish you could, get your money back on if that was possible?
Okay, that would be the health and wellness business that I had started. That would be the condensed matter nuclear science research. So if we're just looking through a financial lens, it
Yeah,
would be those early businesses.
interesting. The best one and the one you okay because it's something that really resonates with you, but at the same time, if you're looking at bottom line, it's just as an investment, it's something that didn't pay off, something like that.
Correct.
Mm,
Right. There was no payday. Emotionally and values wise, they were both extraordinary.
okay. And looking at those, Allison, how has your approach to investing in the business changed over the years? I mean, if it has, right?
What has changed drastically is that I am now the center of the business. And the other businesses required teams of experts and researchers in areas that I had no expertise at all. And so I was very much bolstering other people to do the work and how we get done and setting direction, CEO stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This time, I'm on the line. Totally. It's just me. And what value am I bringing? And it is a very different way of showing up in the world.
It reminds you that you're alive too, right?
Yeah, it does. It really does.
It's a different level of commitment.
Yes.
It feels like it. Okay. I love
Yeah.
that. Now,
It's wonderful.
and if someone listening wants to connect with you or follow your work, Alison, I mean, we're going to have all the links in the description and all of that. But I mean, what's the best way for people to find you and connect with you?
The best way is you can connect with me through LinkedIn. My email is even on LinkedIn. I am open to have a conversation. What can we do together? How can we make the world a better place? Absolutely. How can we make your life more meaningful and better? What do you need? And reach out. Let's have the conversation.
Right. You know, there were a few moments from this conversation today that really stayed with me. I'll put it like that. So I'm going to highlight a few of them. Okay. I would say, first of all, the vulnerability piece, you know, that you mentioned that, oh, I was not a great leader. And I think that's like a crucial bit for a true coach is being vulnerable, because you're going to meet your clients or your coaches, however you want to call them, at their level, right? Because you're going to ask hard questions. It's only fair you're vulnerable yourself. So that eases up the connection part, at least in my opinion, you know. And the first step is always awareness. And you show that through the entire podcast today. So I'm commend you on that. That's pretty interesting to watch. I would also say, well, 2 reminders for myself, right? Let's put it like that. Pedro, courage to start it, right? Just do it. It's like, stop overthinking, move forward. You're going to make mistakes. It's just part of the process, but keep moving forward. It's like, just take action, man. That's one thing. I really like it. And the last but not least, such a powerful reminder. When you think about it and the way people show up in our lives, like, for example, your mom, when she asked you, who do you want to be? You know, that's such a powerful question from a coaching perspective, right? Because it's trying to peel off the true intention of where you want to go, who do you want to show up as, like, who do you want to show up as Alison in the world, right? Who do you really want to be? And such an early stage in your life, I mean, that's pretty powerful. At least when I'm getting to a rabbit hole here, right? So this is just my, you know, long-winded way of saying, Alison, I appreciate what you do. I really appreciate you being here and sharing so openly today. You know, it was great having you on.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I so deeply appreciate your questions, your listening, really deep listening and playback. Thank you. This was delightful. I really enjoyed our time together.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This podcast was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, or even $100,000 weeks, all without burning out and making sure that you're making the impact and having the life that you want. To learn more about our community and how we can help you, visit joinpurplecircle.com.